would like to give the floor to our first keynote speaker of tonight. That is Siep Hiemstra. Siep, where are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, for the one who were here last year, you are very much aware that you are on very sacred grounds. It's here where 150 years ago Heineken started its big adventure as a brewer. It's here that Adrian Heineken who started the company that is today known as Heineken. The brand wasn't there at the time. The brand only started a few years later. So this year we are celebrating 150 years Heineken. And I can assure you, true to our nature, this will not go unnoticed. We will have a couple of interesting parties, and this one looks a little dull compared to the ones we will have throughout this year. But welcome. I'm very happy you're here today. As I said, Heineken is 150 years old today, and during all those years, Heineken was in Africa. Actually, our first exports took place around 1900. Heineken beer to various places in Africa. And in 1923, we started our first brewery in what is today known as Kinshasa, and at the time Leopoldville in Belgian Congo. And from those very humble beginnings back at that time, today Heineken operates 56 plants and 45 breweries. Notice the difference. We never call a brewery a plant. A brewery is a brewery. 56 plants, which are soft drink plants, malteries and breweries. So, and we operate in 20 countries. So Heineken finds itself really an African company. It's not a company which sends expats to Africa. We are operating in 20 countries, 16,000 employees, and only a mere 60 expats coming outside of Africa and working into Africa. So we really are a company that is known throughout Africa through its brands like Star, Primus. I'm sure all of you traveling to Africa and had an opportunity to drink it, and Amstel and Heineken and Windhoek in South Africa. Heineken, as I said, is very proud of its African business, but also it's a business. 25% of Heineken's business worldwide, profit, revenues, are coming out of Africa. And actually over the last 5 years, almost 70% of Heineken's growth, worldwide, organic, so not the big purchases we did in Asia or in Mexico, but really organic growth came out of Africa. Africa means good business. And that's the reason why when I do my interventions like tonight, I call upon everyone and every international and national company to invest in Africa. Because if you're not in Africa, I can assure you, you're not an international business and you really have a problem with your future. So really, spread the news. Africa is hot, and I'm very happy you're here tonight with so many people. It's a great pleasure. Now, I don't want to take away too much. I don't want to take away too much of your valuable drinking time. It's a pity because you're here where the best beer is served in the whole of the world. But on behalf of all of us as Heineken, I would like to wish you, your families, your businesses a very healthy and successful 2014. And let's see each other again next year here in the Heineken Experience, where we're celebrating our 151 anniversary. Have a very nice evening.
We are indeed delighted, and thank you that Heineken hosted this Sanec NBC Africa News Year's Week again this year. Heineken has been for many years a strong supporter to the mission and vision of Sanec and NBC, of which we thank you and we are grateful to Heineken. First of all, we would like to welcome our chairman this afternoon, Mr. Frans Engeling, the chairman of Sanec. Frans, where are you? Somewhere, I think there. And Mr. Kees van Heijs, the chairman of the NDBC. Kees, thank you. And also a warm welcome on both boards of Sanec and NDBC. Thank you for being here. Special welcome to the Dutch ambassadors from Africa present today. Your attendance is much appreciated, taking into account your full week at the Ambassadors Conference, which have spoken already with many companies. And on behalf of the full Sanec and NBC boards and full operational teams, we wish you a happy 2014 in health good spirit with many successes with your businesses in Africa. Africa is more and more a continent where Dutch companies can do business, find their partners and set up activities or start with export and import. By that means they earn just money, trade instead of aid. There has been already a lot achieved in Africa with the Dutch trade. But together NBC and Sanec will still have a long way to go to serve Dutch entrepreneurs and companies willing to discover business opportunities in Africa. We will develop our relations with African counterparts and to continue introducing to the Dutch sector. Dutch business can do much more with the assistance of Dutch embassies in Africa and with the Sanec and NBC organizations. Cooperation and partnerships are the key words for Africa. As we in the Netherlands face competition in Africa from other countries like Turkey, China, Brazil, Russia, India, but also countries like Sweden and Germany, the Netherlands is the preferred partner when it comes to technology, innovation and knowledge. Also the way we do business in Africa is much appreciated. That is one of the reasons that Sanec and the SLC also work with cluster program management, such as transport logistics, agro like dairy and potato, and poultry, also flowers and pork and aviation and airports and much more. As a proverb goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We know that quick wins hardly happen in Africa. It's all about relationship and equal partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, we look forward to serve our 700 members, because that are the business members in total of Sanec and the NBC, and our at least 26 dedicated staff members in the Netherlands and in Africa, who work on a daily basis to serve you as organizations. And we hope we can make your business ambitions come true, and that we make your business in Africa a success. Thank you very much. I would like to hand over to my colleague, friend, Paul van der Bel. Paul?
We are here today to start the year, and I'm very happy that you are here in such a big number, and I'm also happy to have your attention of such a big group of Dutch entrepreneurs, Dutch businesses that are active in Africa. I think you have heard me now for 7 years talk about business in Africa, but I think slowly by slowly things have changed a little bit, in the sense that business with Africa is really changing the Dutch business. We see more and more big Dutch companies getting their strategies in order how to approach the opportunities in Africa. At the same time, and I think we should take an example of Sanec, we see African countries also becoming more and more interested to do business with the Netherlands. We see more and more missions from Africa coming to the Netherlands, and I think that is one thing that we want to do, to also give you an opportunity without traveling to Africa to meet relevant business partners. Ladies and gentlemen, I was at an event at Clifford Chance a few months ago. There was a gentleman of Cisco, an American company. The American company, the gentleman was traveling in Africa, and he was really surprised. He said, like, I go anywhere in Africa, many countries, I see very few Dutch companies active. And I think that is something that is close to my heart, and that is the reason I do this work, is how will we become the export champion to Africa? We can never do that alone. We have to do that together with the Dutch government. I'm very pleased Simon Smith is here. But I think somehow there's a lot of opportunity that we are still missing. So I'm actually calling for 2014 to a more concerted effort to really think like, how can we improve on our trade figures with Africa. We are not doing bad, it's increasing, but it can increase much more. Such a strategy is not only with instruments, but it's for instance also with visas. We want it to be more easy for our Dutch companies to receive our clients in the Netherlands, and I think we should push for more funds for those visas to be delivered to those business partners in Africa. Those were my few words. It was not easy to keep it short, and thank you for your attention. I hope you can keep your attention for a little bit longer, because here is Simon Smits from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Simon Smits.
Let me first of all thank Heineken for their hospitality here, and let me tell you a little anecdote about the worldwide spread of Heineken. I was in Burma just 2 months ago, and wherever I go, sorry, I ask for a local beer. So I said to the waiter, "Do you have a local beer?" He said, "Sure, sir. What do you want? Heineken or Amstel?" This is the way that Heineken has been spreading all over the world. Who of you is doing business in Africa and with Africa? Could I see some fingers? Who would like to expand their business with Africa or start a business? That's even better. I have very good news for you, because the government is here to help you. The ambassadors that you will see here tonight, we have been busy all week, updating the ambassadors on the policy agenda, telling them all about the new aid and trade agenda. If you allow me, I will come back to that maybe in 1 minute or so. But we've also funds available. Who has heard of the DGGF, the Dutch Good Growth Fund? Fingers please, hands please. Who's heard of it? Okay, then you will have to bear me out. Because we have 700 million euros available specifically for SMEs in the Netherlands and for SMEs in upcoming markets, like in Africa. And I will not bore you to death with the figures, but everybody knows that since 2006, Africa has been receiving more foreign direct investment than official development aid. Now we will add to that with 700 million euros, we'll add to that with technical knowledge, and we will add to that with funds, and the funds that are available for these companies. The fund will start on the 1st of July of this year. We have for this year 50 million, 50 available, but this will rapidly increase over the next 4 years to 700 million. So what I would like to say is, the ambassadors are here, NABC is here, Sanec is here, Foreign Affairs is here to help you. Enjoy your evening, network, work, and keep in touch, and have a very happy and successful 2014. Thank you very much.
Bryant for Aftv. We're here with Mr. Simon Smits from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Smits, can you tell us why events like this are so important from a Dutch perspective in terms of growth in Africa?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think this kind of meeting brings people together. And everything you do in the world, and specifically when you do international business, it's about personal contacts and commitment. So that's why these kind of gatherings are extremely important.
And what's the potential in Africa for Dutch businesses specifically? I mean, from just a growth standpoint, a revenue standpoint, I mean, there's got to be a lot to grow on.
Well, Africa, of course, as we all know, is booming. At least a large part of the African countries, I think 18 out of 54 officially, are really achieving tremendous growth, sometimes over 6% on an annual basis, which is something I think Europe can only dream of.
Sure.
And apart from that, it's also important to note that only about a quarter of that, 25%, is geared by resources, by oil or gas or minerals, and the rest is other economic activities. So both in the oil and gas field, but also in the other economic activities, there are huge opportunities for Dutch businesses.
Sure, and what kind of businesses are you seeing that are most attracted to Africa from a growth standpoint?
Well, to start with oil and gas, we of course have a vast experience in oil and gas exploration. But and if you look at countries like Mozambique and Tanzania, they will be the new gas giants, you could say, on the African continent. So what they need is infrastructure, hardware, but also the software. We have this hardware, we have the infrastructure, but we also have the, I would call it, the knowledge infrastructure. We suffered in the Netherlands from the Dutch disease. Sure. Some call it a resource curse even. We overcame it, and I think countries like Tanzania and Mozambique and others can really profit from the mistakes that we have made in the past.
Sure. Now, do you see it as being a competition among other countries in the EU in terms of developing Africa from a financial standpoint? I mean, or is it more from a collective
Well, I think the good thing about it is we're each other's competitors, sure, also in Europe. And this is a good thing, because competition, when it's being done on a level playing field, is a good thing, because the consumer, the country, will get the best product for the best price. So I don't see anything wrong with competition. On the contrary, market access is important. What is, I think, the most important thing is that the growth, and this is why we have combined the aid and trade agendas. Any growth should be not only sustainable but also be inclusive, because if you have a large disparity in income, that is a real hampering to economic growth. So that is something that we in our new trade and aid agenda are trying to resolve, and also trying to foster and promote in Africa.
And you see that as achievable, obviously, or else we wouldn't all be here.
Yes,
right?
I think it's a very successful model. The new cabinet in the Netherlands and the new Minister for Aid and Trade, if I may call it that, has only been in office for a year, Lilian Ploemen, but I think she has already made tremendous progress in a policy agenda, and also there are already now very good examples of people coming up to her and say, well, the aid relationship was fine, but we want a relationship on an equal economic footing. We want to be equal partners, and we want opportunities that are win-wins. So I think this is certainly a very viable agenda.
Sure. All right. Well, we thank you for your time. For Aftv, this is Mr. Simon Smits. I'm Ted Bryant. Thank you for watching. It's Ted Bryant for Aftv here at the Sanec event in Amsterdam at the Heineken Experience. We're here with Bob van der Bel from NABC and Mark Achtertenbosch from Sanec. Gentlemen, really quick, what's the importance of this event in terms of Dutch industry in Africa? What do we get out of this? Whoever would like to answer.
We are here with members from both of our organizations, in total 300 persons, which is almost half of our total membership count. I think it's important for them to look ahead in what is the target for this year to be achieved. And I think at the same time it's also important to show that we together present by and large the biggest network of Dutch business active in Africa.
Sure. And what do you see the potential being in Africa in terms of Dutch business? Do you want to, Mark, do you take this?
Now there isn't great potential.
Okay.
If you look at a few sectors, it's obvious there's an agro. But it's not only in the agro processing, agro technology, but it is also helping farmers with skills development, knowledge, making better production on farms, but also whole infrastructure like the ports development, which is a very important asset, transport developments. The whole, for certain parts in Africa, you have also the upcoming creative industry. You have certain parts in Africa with an upcoming ICT sector. And those sectors are of great importance from the Netherlands, water, sustainable energy, and also with Africa. And if you look at technology and innovations, I think Africa and the Netherlands can meet each other, and we can together add value to the prosperity of the people in Africa, and also just to do business. Finally, the skills development in Africa.
Sure.
Yeah.
And specifically, which Dutch industries are seeing success so far in Africa, and where?
Well, I think, as Mark mentioned, the agribusiness sector is very important, and this is not about only exporting agricultural products to Africa, but this is also about raising the productive capacity in Africa with Dutch technology. Right. The other sector that is traditionally very important is the oil and gas sector, of course, which is now moving, let's say, after having started already big time in the western part, we're now moving to the eastern part of Africa. And I think we shouldn't forget that trade is big, so a lot of companies are actually doing a fantastic business in setting up business links, finding African distributors, selling machinery, selling consumer products, etc. Africa is, I think, according to me, a lot richer than the general audience in the Netherlands thinks, and they really have, maybe small wallets, but some of them have big pockets, and we have seen huge growth. And I said already in my speech today that over the coming 5 years I see another at least a 50% growth in trade with Africa.
It's also, if I may add, it's also local production, making sure that the added value is taking place in Africa, and not that only minerals or raw materials getting out of the continent, but making sure that there will be an added value in Africa. Then you get the job creation. And so local manufacturing, I think, is a very important part of the corporation as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then lastly, do you see there being much competition among countries in the EU? I mean, with the Dutch in terms of getting into Africa and developing the markets. Is that a factor? Honestly?
We are part of a European network of I think around 12, 13 European countries are in the network. So with similar organizations, so we can manage to get a feel on what the other countries are doing, and I have the feeling that somehow, if you look at the French-speaking part of Africa, those countries are quite happy to create linkages with new business partners. So there, the French really have to struggle to keep some piece of the pie, and I think one is welcoming us. At the same time, we have to face the facts that for a lot of products and services, there's a lot of South-South cooperation starting with China, India, Gulf region, Brazil. But I think at the end of the day, Africa is only at the start of where it's going to be. And I would say, it sounds a little bit maybe not very serious, but I would say the more the merrier, in the sense that the more people, the more countries are investing in Africa, are starting to do business in Africa, the more opportunities will arise.
And it's not so much, I think, a lot of times Dutch companies have an added value to other European countries. And of course, if you look at port developments, of course you have competition from the port of Hamburg and the port of Bremen and the port of Antwerp. And that is a fact. So some sectors, okay, do compete. But a lot of the times there is, for instance, for local production, is there for instance, in manufacturing a plant in South Africa, a Dutch plant, which sometimes use German technology. So there's a cooperation between Germany and the Netherlands to the benefit of Africa. So, but I think more that the competition is more from the new coming countries, the BRIC countries, the big economies.
Yeah.
I think there is something, an increase of competition. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we genuinely appreciate your time here at AFTV from the Sanec New Year's event in Amsterdam at the Heineken Experience. I'm Ted Bryant. Thank you for watching.